Hello and welcome to the WIT Podcast. My name is Maggie, and through this podcast, I hope that we can delve deeper into issues and have holistic conversations on situations and things that you'd normally ponder about and ask, what is that? Hi guys, welcome back to another season of the WIT Podcast. I know I have been away for a while, and that's why we are back here to catch up. Um it's more of welcoming me back because I'm the one who disappeared for a really long time. And where have I been? That's what this episode is about. Let's just catch up, update you guys on what's been going on in life. Yeah, let's see. Where have I been? So we wrapped up the first season in August, I believe, August 2023. And as soon as we wrapped up that season, I remember the last episode, shooting it, I was quite tired. Tired mostly because I didn't have a nanny. I was running up and down to make sure we finished the season. But I expected to take like a 2 month break. Then it ended up being, well, 7 or 8 months. Yeah. So what happened is I remember wrapping up, going back home, and my son telling me, Mommy, where's my baby brother? And I was laughing at him and asking, you have a baby brother? And he's like, yeah, I have a baby brother. And I'm like, you don't have a baby brother? And he was like, I have. We have a baby brother. And I laughed it off. I remember I recorded it. And let's just say I was chilling, waiting for my periods. Uh, Unfortunately, they never showed up. And that's just how I discovered I was pregnant. That is how the Lord used my 3-year-old, now 3-year-old, he was two, to convey the message that I was with child. And for many, I was waiting for my periods. I was not expecting to be pregnant. And for those who've been in this journey, you know how tough it can really get. So I really didn't want. I was not in a hurry to confirm. I was not in a hurry to take a test because I don't know what happens, but once you know you're pregnant, the symptoms come in full force. So I really just sat down, chilled, waited for my periods to be late. They were late by like a week. And then I was like, okay, now I'll test. And after doing the test, it was a very strong positive. I went for dinner, and that day I just started, the nausea started. The symptoms kicked in. That was around, I was now week 5 pregnant. I had no idea. It's now just, I've tested and the symptoms came in relentless. I had a lot of trauma from my first pregnancy where I was really sick in the first trimester. So I was imagining, I was trying to manifest a better season with the second pregnancy. But unfortunately, that first trimester was a little bit of hell, and it didn't help that the first time I had a lot of trauma, it all came back. There was a lot of unprocessed trauma that came back. For example, I was to go for you advised you get pregnant, go for a checkup. Um, I went for a checkup at week 6, and it was kind of forced. Like my friend telling me, you have to get checked, you know, go early, doctors to see what's happening. And I had a lot of trauma and PTSD going for the first checkup. I had settled on a guy I was going to use at that time who had insurance. I reached there, my legs got numb, I couldn't move. I don't know. It's something about ever experiencing a miscarriage that traumatizes you. I don't know if it ends, but it all came back because one, I was worried I'm going to be sent for an ultrasound. I don't know the new sonographer. It was a new environment. I don't know how they're going to relay any bad news if there's any bad news. So I had a lot of trauma. And in my first appointment, I remember telling the guy, "Nah, I've really struggled to even come for the appointment and why." And she listened and she was like, you need mental health help. So she referred me to a psychiatrist who deals with PTSD. She diagnosed me with PTSD. Went for the ultrasound with my friend. Everything was okay, thank God. And then as I started to get sick, I started to get more depressed because now I couldn't do things that I really needed to do. And so I went for my first therapy session around week 7. uh, it was a very nice session. That therapist I would 100% recommend. She really listened. She really validated my fears. Tried to teach me ways of coping with the trauma that I had experienced, and most of it was geared towards acceptance, accepting that you can't really control a lot of the things that happen in your body during pregnancy. Having experienced difficult pregnancies herself, she was able to help me understand that I need to accept one and then find ways to survive. And that's exactly what I did. I went back home and found ways to survive. But my body was just not accepting the pregnancy as smooth as other bodies, women's bodies do. For example, I started vomiting. I was vomiting anything and everything, including water. I had zero energy, like zero energy to move from my room to any other room in the house, even to move from the bed. I had a lot of I had all day and night nausea. So I was struggling to choose something to eat. I was not craving things. I had aversions. I just have had to eat something to survive. So I survived on a lot of salty boiled things like boiled potatoes, boiled bananas with a lot of salt. It was a lot. It was a lot. By week 8, I remember I was so down that when I called my gyna, now my friend who's a gyna, she's called Dr. Jemima, founder of Wheels for Life, who you should really check out the amazing work she does. I called her and I told her I can't move from my bed and I can't see clearly because you would come to my room and I can't even see who's at the door. So she immediately came home and came with IV fluids. And I was so pale, I couldn't even recognize her. But she sat with me, administered medication to stop the vomiting because that day I'd really vomited, administered the IV fluids for around like 3 hours. It's like I needed 3 bags of IV to just now start feeling like myself. I was weak. I remember after she left, I felt I could move to the living room. I could stay with my son. It was a, like a whole new world. Those fluids, I gained energy because I hadn't retained anything I was eating for a very long time. So that really really helped. By I was hoping that by week 10 I would be strong enough. Unfortunately, I got worse. So you get your IV fluids for 1 week. You have renewed energy to do one, two, three things. I went for a shoot. If you watched Being Kambua, I was in one of her episodes. That was the time that I had gotten the IV fluids. But then 2, 3 days later, you're back down. So you're back on survival mode. Week 10, I remember trying to see a friend who was going through something and I couldn't eat. But this time, I think I was surviving on a lot of passion juice. I was craving passion juice, passion fruit, and unknown to me, it was triggering, okay, gastritis. You're not eating well, and then you're on very acidic fruits. So I had a flare up. Week 10, I remember I had a night where I vomited every single hour of that night and I had a running stomach. It was horrible. And this is the time my husband had traveled. So I was like, we shall survive this. We shall survive this. But every hour it kept getting worse. So when I couldn't sleep and I called my gyna friend in the morning, I told her I've been vomiting
every hour. I can't retain anything. I can't retain meds. She called an ambulance, which picked me up like at 7 a.m. Hey, these things fly. They go really fast. They couldn't even prick me because I was just so dehydrated. We got to Aga Khan where now Dr. Yamal, who I was seeing, I've been seeing him for most of the part of my pregnancy, came with his team. I was put on fluids. I was put on meds to stop the running stomach. Then I was also put on some vitamins, which most people who suffer from hyperemesis are really low on. I think it's vitamin B something, B1 or something. So that day he came, he assessed. I was still having difficulties eating. And because of how much fluids I'd lost, I was admitted for 3 days, very 3 long days. I was just so tired, by the way. You're just tired of not doing anything. So I was admitted. The good thing is I was able to eat. I was able to retain some of the food once I was there. Then I was still struggling with a lot of saliva. I've struggled with spitting the whole of the first trimester. You keep spitting, you can't stop spitting. So I was discharged day 3 when he was confident. At least we've managed to bring my levels to a safe area because I was also suffering from low blood pressure. So after discharge, my insurance cover subsided, my maternity cover, because when you're admitted, admitted as a pregnant person, so the maternity cover starts running. So you can imagine it's just week 10 of your pregnancy and your cover is already out. So yeah, that wasn't interesting at all. I came back home hoping that now things will just get better. But woo, week 11, nausea is back, vomiting is back. You still can't retain things, have no appetite to eat, but you have to try eat something. So I was stopped. What really helped is also the medications I was taking, like progesterone, dufaston, they were discontinued just to stop the vomiting or to stop inducing the vomiting. Yeah. So I was not on as many meds. Whenever I was able to take the prenatals, I was encouraged to. Whenever it was impossible, I was just told to take it easy. Gastritis was the major concern. There was a lot of pain, a lot of burning because one, I can't eat, and even if I eat, I can't retain. So I really struggled with gastritis. I don't know how many boxes of Nexium and Gaviscon I finished, but at some point I was very frustrated because I'm like, where are we going with this? Am I going to survive another 30 weeks just on these antacids? So I resorted to alternative medicine. So I consulted a homeopath. If you followed me on Instagram, I talk a lot about homeopathy. I was referred to a homeopath who specialized in reproductive health. She's based in Pakistan. We had a virtual consultation, explained to her my problem, especially the gastritis, the vomiting, and she recommended some remedies, which, shock on me. By day 3, I was even eating rice and beans. I still eat rice and beans without the side effects of acidity. So I don't know. This really challenged me. I was kind of afraid of trying because you're pregnant. You don't want to just put anything in your body. But I stay stand with homeopathy and what alternative medicine can do when you deal with experts in that field. So that is something I'm really, really grateful that worked for me. So by week 16, the symptoms were dying down. I was still vomiting maybe 2 or 3 times a week, not every day. Or it's still once a day. Once a day is good because I was vomiting even 3 times a day. So it started dying down from week 16. Then by 18 is when I actually really felt like myself. Even if I wasn't eating everything, I was just like, whew, you see the world and like it's a new world. It's a whole new world. You can imagine 3 months of not being able to work, not being able to move, not being able to eat or retain, it was a lot. So I was so happy. I remember I had made a prayer to God, like, please, God, just get me through this so that I can be able to celebrate my son's birthday, which was now around week 17. And thankfully, that is the day I had a lot of energy. That is the day I was able to eat. Even for the first time, I think I ate chicken on that day and didn't vomit. So I was really, really happy to start feeling like myself around that time. It was like an answered prayer, for real. So generally, if you ask me and if you're going through this, how did I take care of myself? The first thing I had to do is surrender to the process. And that's something I just learned in therapy, that I am not in control right now. My body is going through changes to accommodate a new human being. I have to surrender. And because I was familiar with really how bad it can get, I stopped fighting it in my head with the picture I really wanted it to be. Like this, there are women who don't feel anything. And I envy you guys if you're those people who just go through first trimester, not going through the worst. So I really had to surrender to the process, surrender to God, to just see me through. See me through. I used to say, please, God, let it not continue for 9 months. Just wherever we stop, this can be my life for 9 months. So I had to surrender. I had to go for therapy, but I admit that I did only one session and felt the main thing is surrendering and accepting. I tried to pass time by drawing and sketching. Funny thing, I had a sketchbook that I would dive deep into, just joining dots, into creating an animal. I don't know what that is about. It's just passing time. I slept a lot because I was tired. We fight our bodies in the first trimester. You're always tired, you're always sleepy. Me, I just slept. I had to do physiotherapy towards the end of the first trimester, I think week 14, because I was having sciatica. It's called sciatica nerve pain. You've slept on your left so much, things are moving. There was a nerve there that was really painful to walk. So I started physiotherapy. And I was also journaling. I have this prayer book. It's called Seed to Fruit. It's a 40-week pregnancy prayer journal. So once in a while, I would journal, though not as often as I would want because I had no energy to hold a pen the whole time. But once in a while, I would pen down my thoughts and just release my frustration, where it was helpful, but it's not easy. But what I love about the book is it also has prayers. So prayers written week by week of your pregnancy. So when you find it really hard to connect with God, really hard to pray, you just say the prayers over and over again. And that really, really helped. My mental health generally, as I've said, was affected not only by the fact that I was going through the most physically, but the fact that I couldn't take care of my toddler I couldn't be present or show up in a way that I would have loved. I say this because in that season, for some reason, he was very understanding, very supportive. I have videos of him feeding me, asking me to eat. When he came and I was feeling weak, he always said, Mom, just sleep. I'll be fine. He'd play or just go watch TV. But for me, the mom guilt of just not being present, that one was eating me up kidogo. That one took a while to get over. Oh, the fact that I couldn't drop him to school or pick him up. Those are things I enjoyed doing. And I remember there was a day I had to stop doing because I was vomiting a lot on the road. So that really affected my mental health. The fact that I couldn't work, whether it's in our music business or in the influencer space, I just could not show up authentically and do things that I needed to do. I also had a very bad attitude towards appointments. I would miss appointments because in my head, I'm like, Are they going to stop the vomiting? Are they going to tell me something new? As I've said, I was in a process where I've just surrendered. If it goes well, sour. So I really had a bad mentality towards going to hospital, and I needed a lot of support in that area, like reminders and everything. Then later on, in the second trimester is where I started feeling better. And I remember watching one YouTuber called Shanbudi, who had also Shanbudi, yeah, had struggled with her mental health in her second pregnancy. And she emphasized the need to stop emphasizing on us being human doings. We pride ourselves with things we are able to do, things we're able to achieve, how active we are, how what we've achieved in a day depends on what we were able to do. And she was encouraging women, or she was encouraged by her own therapist, in that season where your body can't, just find acceptance in being a human being and not a human doing. And that is enough, because your body is creating a whole human being. It's not just doing nothing. So I think that was a wake up call that we need to redefine just what makes us who we are is not what we actually do. Sometimes it's just being human and surrendering to the process. Another challenge that I experienced, and this was in my second trimester, where now I was feeling better, is navigating grief while pregnant. I lost my grandfather, who we were very, very close with. And it's such a challenge to fully grieve when you are also carrying life and you're being told everything you do, your baby feels, you're conscious of that mentally and physically. So it was a very challenging time, November and December, until we buried him. And even now, when I have moments where I just want to let it all out, but then sometimes you are not emotionally able to just free yourself and grieve the way you want, because you're also, I don't know if it makes sense, you're also carrying life, that you're also in check with your emotions. So when I have to let it out, and I think that's that whole time before the burial, I used to let it all out. But you're also very conscious that you are carrying life. So navigating grief has been is one area that's really a challenge when you are pregnant. My spiritual health was affected. Praying was hard, as I have said, but I feel like it was also made stronger because I just surrendered. You just surrender to God. I mean, who else can help you? You can't control so much. You can't worry so much. I used to be anxious, and my therapist would say, "Are you the one controlling the vessels that pump blood to your heart, or you're going to let God do the work?" And even if you are given that work to measure how much oxygen you need today, how much your baby needs today, you will fail yourself. Like utaka na gas cylinder, yeah, oxygen and measure. It's a lot of work. So surrendering to the process and to God made it easier. But it didn't make it. I missed church. I still missed church aspects that strengthened my spiritual health. And when I was really down, I listened to worship music. But I feel like the process has helped me to surrender everything to God, so that I'm not always anxious. I'm not always worried. Remember, I had a very traumatic first pregnancy. So even when I was reaching the week, like the second trimester, I was like, oh God, I don't want to experience surgery again like I did with my first, where I lost my appendix, where I had to get my appendix removed, and it was traumatizing. So I remember my therapist asking, "Do you have another appendix?" No. So let's just focus on living a day at a time and surrendering to God. When it comes to support that I really appreciated, and maybe you're listening to this and wondering, how can I support a friend who's going through this? I really appreciate that, the fact that I had a very, very good nanny, like God sent. She took care of my household. I remember I had to open up to her because she used to see me vomiting and she'd be very worried. kona malaria. So I had to open up to her, and opening up made sure that she really took responsibility in the house. She took care of my son. She took some days when she was to leave, she decided to stay behind if she saw that I was really, really in a bad state. I thank God for my nanny. Sometimes keeping it a secret is not helping you. And sharing, problem shared is a problem solved, really came true when it comes to my nanny. I'm thankful for how my son was mysteriously very understanding. For a toddler, he was very understanding, very supportive. It made me feel so loved, and he's the sweetest. He's the sweetest. If you've watched on my Instagram how he was really caring for me, you'd wonder where this comes from. My husband was really supportive to the extent that he could be, because he really took full responsibility of the toddler. When I needed space, they would leave and just go and then come back. Of course, these things affect your sexual health, sexual life. And I never ever felt the pressure to, resume or anything. He was just understanding, checking in. How are you feeling today? How can I support you? And that was really, really helpful. The part that both him and my son used to really piss me off is they love nyama choma. But I've also understood you can't really control everyone to the nitty-gritty. So they would go out, eat it, but they'll come back and I'll still smell it from the door and get annoyed. But at least they went to eat it from outside. So he's been very understanding towards the process. And we realized that both of us were coping with PTSD. Like, he had his own trauma because our first pregnancy wasn't easy. If you've gone to my YouTube channel, it was a miraculous one as well. So even he had to go for therapy to just deal with how do we cope better this time, financially, mentally, everything, because a baby changes your life. I'm very also grateful my sisters supported me, especially my big sister and the one who follows me. They would come in, check on me, bring me cravings. I remember even my sister came and waxed me in the house. I was looking a mess. And she came. She'd take me for walks when I can walk. She'd take care of my son. They were really, really supportive. My friends were always checking in, even if I never picked calls. Oh, I hated my phone. So they were always checking in and balancing how can I give her space. So they would send me messages. I'm thinking of you. I know you're going through this. Encouraging words. It really meant a lot. And also, what I appreciated is even when my nanny was off and my husband works on Sunday, there were friends who would actually take my son for play dates and bring him back in the evening, fully fed, happy. Just all I needed to do was make sure he showered and goes to bed. It was really thoughtful. There were friends who came over to my house to see me and to hang out with me, even if there were zero conversations. There are those who visited me in hospital, like those little gestures, because I learned that you can't be very entitled to people's time. But these people who made time to do the extra, it really meant a lot. When I look back, there are people I can never forget and would love to always be there for them if they go through whatever, because they made time. They were intentional about supporting me in the best way that they could. I remember even my church friends visiting, because I was not picking calls and I never showed up. And they just came and prayed with me and then left. I mean, those tiny things, those gestures mean a lot, even if someone is not communicating as well. And I remember another thing, my son's school, the owner, she was really good, because I'm the one who used to pick my son and also drop him. And she noticed I can't do this anymore. And I told her what was going on. And she took it upon herself and her family. They would drop him, because that time they didn't have a school van yet. And they would bring him home. And it is the sweetest thing. I don't know. It's very thoughtful things. They would take care of him and bring him home after school. I remain very grateful for such support that I got during period. When it comes to support, I never got, but okay, I don't expect it, but I wish I had, is as someone in the online space, I feel like people don't really respect your privacy. People want to push you when you're going through pregnancy. They want, I don't know, they push you to announce. I don't know what they gain from it. So if people were suspecting I'm away because I'm pregnant, not because they've seen me, um, you'd get them commenting on photos, we know you're pregnant, or sending a DM in advance. Congratulations. Who told you? Who told you? I feel like that's overstepping. Give people time to share what they need to share when they are ready. Because I'm not one to just come online to announce things. I have to process things for myself. So there was some kind of pressure that I never appreciated when it comes to people who intrude your privacy, when also you're also already struggling with your mental health. That was a lot. So I wish online community would actually respect the privacy of people they view as influencers, or I don't know. Just we are human beings first. That's what I would say. Then what I wish people would know about hyperemesis, because I was diagnosed with hyperemesis when I was now admitted in Aga Khan, is that you're just surviving. You're just surviving. And pregnancy is actually a sickness for most of us. I know people like to throw in pregnancy is not a sickness. It is a sickness for some of us. It can weigh you down because I know there are employers who are very understanding, and we thank God for them. And there are those who would not understand at all until you see for yourself. So I would wish the space had more grace for moms who are not having an easy time when pregnant. You'd find employers who are really not understanding. You just have to show up to work. And when I say I literally could not move from my bed, I don't understand how I would show up for work. I never worked for four months. So I wish people were giving more pregnant women grace. I think when it comes, you don't have to suggest what I should do. Also, it can be kind of annoying to to be nagging someone. Have you tried this? Have you tried this? Have you tried taking this? I know you come from a good place, but sometimes read the mood before you start suggesting things. Because trust me, I have tried the ginger tea. I have tried bread. I've tried those things. If you're not so close with someone, or you've not been through this journey, it can be very hard for your advice to be taken kindly. So not always throwing advice as the first line of being there, but just offering a listening ear is better than looking for. I know we are solution oriented, but sometimes just being there is everything. So where I'm at now is I'm enjoying the season. I'm in my third trimester, the 8th month as we record this, and I'm loving it so far. I'm really thankful to God that it's been better. I have moments of anxiety. I try to release or channel my anxieties by doing something that makes me happy. Like I've been doing a bump style series on my page on Instagram, where I just share outfits I'm enjoying. I go for physiotherapy every 2 weeks now. I'm in the third trimester, so every 14 days I have to go. Things are moving in your body. Physiotherapy is very important. If I didn't go for physio, I don't think I'd be walking right now because of the nerve issues. So I go for physio just to align my body, my spine. Things are moving. So it's very important to take care of yourself before birth. I'm less anxious. I'm still in the process of surrendering. You just surrender. So my hope in sharing this episode is that someone is encouraged, someone going through hyperemesis is encouraged that it shall pass. It shall pass. It may take 4 months, it may take 5 months, it may take 9 months, but time moves and it shall pass. I encourage you to be there for someone. If you're watching, to find ways to be there for them, even if it's just through listening to them. It really, really helps. And I know not many women share this side of pregnancy. So if you are going through the difficult part. Trust me, I see you, and I was looking for people to relate with online. So I really hope that you relate with this and that it gives you hope that it shall pass. And I'm really looking forward to the next episode where we might bring in an expert to at least explain to us scientifically what is happening. Why are other women looking so fab or having an easy trimester while your body is just not accepting this foreign thing as easy as other women. I would love to have an expert talk to us about how to cope mentally, even physically, because not everyone is able to take even prenatals and everything. So I'm looking forward to that episode where we'll have someone to discuss with us how we can cope better as women going through tough pregnancies. And until next time, I really hope that we are now all caught up. We are now all caught up with where I have been. I did not envision to take such a long break, but I'm happy to be back, and I'm happy to be able to get the chance to create more engaging content or conversations, have engaging conversations here on this platform. Thank you for holding on tight to it and waiting, and also coming back when I've just come back. I really hope to have you on board listening or watching wherever you're watching or listening this episode from in the next episodes. Until next time, stay warm, stay safe, and feel the love. Bye-bye.